Welcome to EOTalks, Eastern Oregon's very own talk show, only here on EO Alive.
All right, first off, please state your name and tell us which office you're running for.
Hello, I'm Mayor Dave Drotzmann of Hermiston. I am currently seeking to replace Senator Hansel as he's retiring from Senate District 29.
Awesome. Now, can you tell me about what you do professionally?
Yeah, I'm an optometric physician. A lot of times people call us optometrist, fairly common term. Optometric physician kind of expands upon our skill level. We do primary care, primary eye care, glasses, contacts. We also do treatment of glaucoma. We manage patients with diabetes and macular degeneration, treat and manage or co-manage patients with cataracts. So we're kind of like your family physician of the eyes, entry level. If you need secondary or tertiary care, we end up being a referral source for those services as well. So that's my day job.
Now, can you tell me more about your accomplishments as Mayor of Hermiston?
I've been the mayor of Hermiston now for going on 11 years. When I came in, it was during a pretty tumultuous time in our community. There was a recall effort previous to my entering. The city had been kind of split in half, and some people were concerned about transparency and really short meetings. They were always unanimous, and so the community was feeling, my understanding was feeling left out participatory wise. So I came in during that time period. The current mayor had decided to retire or resign. I shouldn't say resign, retire from his position. And so I decided to run for the mayor. And since we've been able to bring the community back together, get everybody working in the same direction. We have a council of one mayor and 8 councilors. We've been able to work together and collaborate and bring Hermiston up to the level it is today. I think as far as major accomplishments, we're the fastest growing Eastern Oregon community. We are now the largest community in Eastern Oregon. And a lot of that has to do with the hard work that the council has put in over the course of the last 10 to 20 years. We're working on, economic development, trying to bring jobs into our community, as well as housing. We now have housing starts in our community that are significant. Last year, we built the most houses we've built in 2 decades. And so we continue to grow as a community because of the jobs, because of the housing opportunities. And we're just a great place to raise a family. And we have the livability assets, I think, that a lot of folks are looking for in Eastern Oregon. Probably the proudest accomplishments have to do with collaboration with, my fellow councilors and county commissioners, and a piece of property in town where we had our Umatilla County Fair and Rodeo. It was boxed in next to our high school. It was all landlocked in the center of our community. There was no way for it to grow, that the school couldn't grow. And so we worked together as a community to find a solution. And we built what's called EOTech now, Eastern Oregon Trade and Event Center. So it went from about 14 acres to now over 70 acres. And so we have a event center, we have a rodeo, we have a fairgrounds. We're now building a soccer and lacrosse complex, and it's all being done and has been done without bonded debt. And so it's mortgage free. Didn't have to go out to the taxpayer and raise any funds in order to do that. And the school district got 14 acres in the city of town, where they were able to expand an elementary school as well as a campus for the high school, and softball fields there as well. And the football field had some room for expansion too. So that was probably the largest collaboration I was a part of. Other accomplishments I've been super supportive of have been our public infrastructure plan. I believe it's government's role to try and provide the skeleton of which families and businesses can grow on. Part of that skeleton has to do with a healthy infrastructure system. We went through as a community, budgeted, or went through and mapped out every infrastructure project we had in town identified failing pipes and failing streets and failing electricity and failing broadband, mapped it all out and put a plan together for the course of the next 20 years that we continue to build on and add on, and put resources with those that help to line up for replacement of 100-year-old pipes. And because of that, now when we go and break the ground, we break the ground one time to go in and repair a pipe and replace a street at the same time, and it saves resources to the taxpayers and provides a healthier system for our businesses and our families to continue to grow on. We've continued to expand our Parks and Rec program. We have a safe community. We continue to look at public safety as a primary importance in our community. And so I think, trying to work on the livability assets of a community that make people want to move here over the course of my term as mayor, we've been successful at that, and it's continued to add to our population and our assessed value, which continues to help us grow and bring in more livability assets and businesses that are important to our community.
Now, can you tell me more about your personal biography?
I was born in South Dakota, small town like size of Hermiston, is about 15,000 people, southeast South Dakota. Grandparents came off the farm. My dad left the farm. Him and his brother started a trucking business. My mom, as my grandfather came off the farm, he worked for the railroad. My mom put herself through school, went to nursing. My dad was a truck driver. My mom was a nurse. They divorced when I was young, unfortunately. And so I was raised by a single mom for a good portion of my life. She ended up having to work 2 jobs, kind of put food on the table and keep a roof over her shoulder. Never complained about it. Always gave back to the community. And that's where I think my civic engagement came from, is we were always volunteering for something, whether it was a church bake sale or helping out at the college or a school. My mom always felt like it was super important to give back to the community. And so that's where my civic commitment has come from. Later in life, my dad and I have a younger brother and younger sister. My brother and I reconnected with my father. We moved out to Yakima. That's how I got to the Northwest, graduated high school there in Yakima. We didn't have a lot of resources. Parents couldn't afford to put me through college. So I put myself through college working, started working at 16 and haven't stopped. Went to 2 years of community college at Yakima Valley Community College. And then I went to Central Washington University in Ellensburg, got my bachelor's degree there. Beautiful community, loved Ellensburg, reminds me a lot of LeGrand. And then I went on to do my doctorate degree at Pacific University in Forest Grove. After that, I returned to Yakima, worked for a couple years, had a young family. My son was born my last year of college. My daughter was born shortly after I moved to Yakima. We worked there for 2 years. And then a couple providers out of Pendleton recruited me to come to Hermiston. They had a practice that they had bought out, needed a provider to run it. And I was looking for a new opportunity and a place to grow my family. And it was the best decision we ever made. Hermiston welcomed us with open arms. It's the kind of community that, if you raise your hand to help and want to engage, they're willing to take you in and accept you and get you engaged and involved right away. And it's been a great place to raise my family. Done that, raised a small business, went from one provider, one staff member office to now 16 staff members and 3 providers over the course of the last 25 years. Put both my kids through school here. They both have since graduated. Both of them graduated from Eastern Oregon University. And then my daughter just recently graduated from Oregon State University with her veterinary medicine degree. Proud to say they're both back in Hermiston. My son's working at Amazon. My daughter is a veterinarian at Hermiston Vet. During my 25 years here in the community, I've given back. I've been a faithful Rotarian member. I engaged with the Hermiston Chamber of Commerce. I was on their board for a while. Booster Club president for over 11 years. I served on the Hermiston school board for 8, and then 11 years. For the last 11 years, I've been the mayor of the city of Hermiston. Just trying to give back to my community and help the community that's been so generous in helping me and raising my family and building my business.
All right, next up, can you tell me what issues our residents of Senate District 29 are telling you they would like the next senator to focus on?
Yeah, thanks, Alex. I think the most important issue that I'm hearing people have concerns about right now have to do with the cost of living, especially if we're talking about housing costs, cost of groceries, gasoline to get to their jobs, like my staff members, the service members in our communities. How do they continue to afford living in our communities and paying for the gas to get back and forth? Unfortunately, our state has continued to figure out a tax or a way to tax our families and businesses, and the cost, those costs are dollars out of their pockets. And my goal as a senator working for Eastern Oregon families is to find ways to put more tax dollars back into your pockets rather than going back to the state government. We continue to grow our state government and add more programs on, and maybe not showing the necessary benefit that those tax dollars should be providing. And so I want to put more tax dollars back in your pockets. And I think that's the concern that I'm hearing most from constituents. The other concern that I'm hearing also is, crime, and especially the Measure 110 impacts. And, trying to find some solutions. I think we can all agree it's kind of been a complete failure, and we need to figure out a solution. I don't think necessarily jail is the right decision for a person that has only crimes of drug or alcohol abuse. But sometimes that's what it takes. And Measure 110, I think, is sending the wrong message to our communities, especially our youth. We've got to continue to send a more positive message to our youth. Continue to work on education. I think that's important. We've got to do a better job educating our kids. Our graduation rates and our reading rates are some of the most dismal across the nation. And so we need to work on an improved education system. And I think also Eastern Oregon families are concerned about the metro sprawl, and the power and influence that the metro region has, and the lack of consideration for rural Oregon families and businesses. And it's my goal to go down there and be a strong common sense voice for Eastern Oregon and work across the aisle to develop relationships. This is a relationship business, and I've proven that I can do that through my history here in Hermiston, and I think I can do that for the rest of the Senate District and represent us well down in Salem to find some common sense solutions on some of these challenges that we're faced with, and make sure Eastern Oregon has a strong voice down there, and I can be that voice for Senate District 29.
Now, who is your favorite Oregon historical figure?
My favorite figure probably would have to be Tom McCall, another Republican like myself, fairly moderate. He was governor in the late 60s, early 70s, and one of the last Republican governors we've had. I think Vic Itea was the last one. But he cared about our natural resources. And, we're a natural resource-based economy out here in Eastern Oregon. Farms are important. Our forests are important. Our rivers are important. And we need to continue to protect those resources and allow them to be successful areas, not only for the success of our farmers and the production of food, but also for resources for recreation. And people should have access to those resources as well. We need to do so respectfully, and I appreciated Tom McCall's land protection goals. He did the beach protection acts as well. The bottle bill, I think, was important as well. I'm an environmentalist at heart. I believe in protecting Mother Nature and cleaning up our trash and making sure that we're doing good things with plastic and cardboard. Every weekend I'm taking something to recycling. So I think that's important. And Tom McCall kind of set that stage for Oregon, and he was also really protective about urban growth. And I know that's kind of a sore subject with cities and counties right now as we continue to address housing. I think there's some common sense solutions around that urban growth boundary limitations, but he didn't want urban sprawl going out into our farms and forests, and I think Oregon's the beautiful state it is because of that, and we need to continue to protect our farmland, forests, and rivers.
Now, what are the primary sources of your personal values?
I think I alluded to this earlier. My personal values were probably first established by my mom and the faith in Christ. I was born and raised, in a Christian household with strong faith values. I believe that there's a higher being than myself, and I think that's important. I always want to do the right thing by people and do the right thing by my community, and give back. I think so much of what we're missing today is the lack of faith. It's tearing apart families and destroying our communities. And I think we need to reestablish a positive belief in each other, and a positive belief in humans. And we need to give back to our communities. We are responsible for building the communities that we live in. And those communities that engage and involve that way, I think, are more successful communities. And so I'd have to say my mom and my faith in Christ.
Now, do you anticipate any potential criticisms of you as a candidate, and do you have any responses for any potential criticisms you think you may face?
Well, I think anybody that's been elected has had to, cast a controversial vote or pass some ordinance or resolution that's been controversial. You're not going to make everybody happy 100% of the time. I realize that even as a senator, I'm not going to make people happy 100% of the time. And so there may be a vote here or there that you could criticize me about. I stand by my votes. I did the right thing for my community. And, I was always willing to listen. Even in the times where we could disagree, I'm willing to do so respectfully. And I think that's so much of what's lost in the conversation today, is the respectfulness of listening to each other and actually being heard. I think one of the issues that we're finding in Salem right now is the feeling like you're not being heard, and especially the rural voice. And if we can have a legitimate conversation, sit across the table from each other and respectfully listen to the concerns that each of us has, we don't have to agree 100% of the time, but at least we can kind of have a common sense of where we're coming from, and hopefully come up to a better solution that meets the majority of our folks. 80% of people, I think, reside somewhere in the middle. The extremes on each end, the 10% on each end, you're never going to please them. And it would be my goal to try and find some common sense solutions for the middle, just like I have done the last 20 years of my volunteerism into my community as the mayor and on the school board. So I guess if people are going to critique me, I'm okay with that. I can live with that, and I'll be happy to come home after each Senate session and listen to where I could have done better, and go back the next year and try and do things better. It's my commitment to the members of Senate District 29 that I will always listen to you. We will do so respectfully, and I will try and do right by my members of my community. And like I said, we don't always have to agree 100% of the time, but I will always be respectful in the conversations that we have, and let you know where I'm coming from and what I think the 80% that reside in the middle need as a solution. And so I will go down there and fight hard for those decisions.
Now, given the use of walkouts by the Republican Senate caucus during the last 5 sessions, would you plan to participate in potential future walkouts organized by the caucus?
Difficult question, because the challenge is I'm not part of that conversation. I don't know where the frustration's coming from. I read what I read in the newspaper, and I talk to my senator and share my thoughts about it with him. And so I don't know the inside conversations. What I have read, I would have supported the walkouts, and I would walk out if that was the situation that was presented to me. I think parental rights are super important, and taking those away from our constituents is the wrong answer. I also believe in the right to bear arms, and trying to pull back and restrict or eat away at that is wrong as well. And how we're managing the environment and how we're dealing with climate change and carbon and all of those sort of issues. I think those are tools that the Senate Republicans have used successfully to protect the members and their constituents of our districts. I've already said this before in previous podcasts and interviews. I may be a one-term senator. I'm okay with that. If I'm going down there working hard to represent my constituents and we can't come to an agreement across the table with each other that's respectful, and it alienates my constituents, it affects families, it affects businesses, and it doesn't respect Eastern Oregon values, I'm okay with walking out.
Alrighty, now for something a little bit more lighthearted. First off, ducks or beavers?
Good question. I know I'm probably going to offend half the audience here, but I'm a Ducks fan. I've always been a Ducks fan. What I say is my heart's with the Ducks. My money went to Oregon State. I told you earlier, my daughter graduated from Oregon State. She's a Beaver, and my daughter and son-in-law are Beavers. So we're kind of a house divided at my house. I will tell you, I will vote for the Beavers every single time when they aren't playing the Ducks.
Alrighty. What is your favorite Eastern Oregon landmark?
So I got to go with the Hermiston Butte because that's my hometown. But there's so many beautiful landmarks in Eastern Oregon. I love the Eagle Caps. Beautiful to sit on a snowmobile overlooking the Oregon Alps. I think those are beautiful. I also love the fact that when I come back from the valley headed east, get to about the Dalles, the skies open up, the sun opens up. We get to see the river gorge, the sagebrush, the green circles, the wheat fields, going to the Blue Mountains. We just got so many beautiful landscapes out here to enjoy and appreciate. So I love Eastern Oregon. Frankly, there's probably not a part of it that I don't like.
It is pretty beautiful. What is your favorite Eastern Oregon beer?
So I don't drink a lot of beer. My favorite would probably be Ordnance Kolsch. And then I also like the Terminal Gravity ESG. So if I had a beer, those would probably be one of the two choices I would take.
Good choices. And last up, what is your favorite Eastern Oregon restaurant?
I got to go with Hale's Restaurant. Their hometown favorite. Friends of mine, good people, good hardworking community members, always giving back. They have kind of that same mental mindset that I have, give back to your community because they've always given to you, been around for generations. And so they cook a great breakfast and a good lunch. If I would say dinner, I love Semiotti's in Pendleton. Great place for dinner. They do a great job over there. So those would probably be my two favorite places to eat right now. But I'm open to visiting more areas across the state and eating at more areas across Eastern Oregon and eating at more restaurants and one-upping the two that I just put out there.
There you go. Well, you're going to have to running for Senate.
Right.
All right. Last up, can you tell us some final thoughts and share with our viewers how they can get in touch with you?
I would just ask the viewers of your show and the voters of Senate District 29, I'd ask for your vote. I'm a common sense Republican. I'm a proven leader within my community. I've grown a business from something, one doctor, one staff member to multiple doctors and multiple writers, and I've done so successfully. So I understand the complex challenges of raising or growing a business in Eastern Oregon and the challenges that Oregon presents to small businesses. Right now, you need somebody that understands that and the challenges that we're faced with right now in trying to keep our businesses afloat and keep people employed. I'm also a proven civic citizen, and I believe in giving back. Me running for Senate is me giving back to the district. I think I can represent the entire Eastern Oregon region as well. We've had a lot of success here in Hermiston. I think I can share that success with Eastern Oregon and the other parts of the Senate District 29. So I'd ask for your vote. You can find me at Dave Drotzmann for Oregon DaveDrotzmann.com. You can also find me on Twitter at Dave Drotzmann, Facebook and Instagram at Dave Drotzmann. Make sure you spell my name. I put it in the background there correctly. DaveDrotz. Can't see the Z. Mann. So I look forward to communicating and talking with members of the district. I know I haven't met a lot of you out there. I look forward to those conversations. I'm excited about those conversations. I want to hear more about the opportunities and concerns that you have at the legislature, and so that we can build a good, strong message when I go down to Salem. And so I look forward to those conversations and meeting each of you. But go to DaveDrotzmann.com and find out more about me.